This week on the Racing Insiders, we go to the Kansas Speedway, Grand Am, the Rolex Series. Great race, a new winner. Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge is also at the Kansas Speedway. DTM is at Nürburgring in the rain. Super GT, Suzuka, new cars might have an effect on racing in the United States. And Are You Kidding Me? All this week, the Racing Insiders next. Welcome to the Racing Insiders, the only place where you can get sports car news on a weekly basis in broadcasting. I'm Bill Wood in Los Angeles. Peter Keene is in Kansas at the Kansas Speedway. Jim Daniels is in Memphis, Tennessee. Let's go right to Peter in Kansas with the Spirit of Daytona team. Great race Saturday night. Peter, what happened?
Yeah, Bill, we definitely had some issues today. You know, we broke something in the throttle linkage. It was in between the pedal and the throttle body. Essentially, the boys had to take the inside of the car apart to get it fixed. And I mean, it's like one of the worst things you could break on the throttle linkage. I mean, I just don't know what we got to do to turn our luck around. You know, we had a really good car. Richard was extremely fast on old tires. I mean, we would have definitely been a factor in this deal, and you know, we just get bit again. You know, it's frustrating. You know, we're at wit's end. I hate to say that.
Well, Peter, you got to be. I think you guys are in better shape than Rojas is. The guy can't get on the track without running someone over and putting Scott Pruitt in a hole. Gets out there, unavoidable contact, stop plus 60, and then they lose the race by 0.2 of a second. With Taylor holding off Pruitt for a little over an hour in an absolute dogfight. But where would they have been if they wouldn't have dug that hole early, with Rojas again running someone over, damaging the car that he's got to turn over to Pruitt? Well, it's unfortunate for those guys.
I hate to say this, Jim, but I mean, if Rojas doesn't run over the guy and get the 60-second penalty, then they go away. They win by 60 seconds. You know, whatever. Then, you know, by the time Pruitt gets in, he's in the front and just drives off. If Pruitt had clean air, he drives off and leaves the field. They were so much faster than anybody else that's out here right now. It's unbelievable.
Well, and it shows, and maybe that the Rojas is giving you guys the actual balance of performance that you need.
Right, there you go. I mean, Pruitt's got way big advantage on horsepower and straight line speed right now with that new engine package in the BMW, and Jordan Taylor did a great job just holding him off. Every time Pruitt would get to him, Jordan would slip through traffic and put the block on him and get 10, 15, 20 car lengths on Pruitt, and Pruitt would have to reel it back in. I'm sure Pruitt's really frustrated tonight because he had way better of a car and Jordan Taylor flat put it on him. I mean, I can't say enough good things about the young kid Jordan Taylor in that deal.
As soon as he got out of the car, he said, boy, that Corvette sure does have a lot of torque off the turns on us. I couldn't do anything with him off the, from the low end. So he was complaining, Scott that is, about the power. And then he said, he goes, I thought I had him, but the tires were a little too cold to hold him off. And once he got around me with that torque, he could check me up in the turns, and I had nothing for him on the straightaway. So that was the direct rebuttal that came on the radio show. Unfortunately, I couldn't watch it on Fox Sports 2 because Comcast or any major outlets don't have it. So I had resulted to listening to a great broadcast from MRN Radio. But what about the GT race? Tagliani putting that car on the pole. What happened to them? They run the fastest race lap. They looked like they had the fastest car, but they snuck around there and didn't win the race.
Well, I think they just didn't flat execute it. It was definitely a Ferrari night. You know, the Ferraris go ahead and win, but you know, I just don't know what ended up with Tagliani there and how he got tangled up. I was, you know, too busy watching our car, but I did see him make a couple extra stops. But to be honest with you, sitting here, I couldn't even tell you what Tagliani happened there.
And another good, Peter, talking about those GT cars. That Wheeling car, second week in a row, Boris said gets out of the car with the shifter in his hand. I'm not so sure that they guys don't need to start scratching their head. That's going to get very frustrating for him and Kern to keep having a transmission blow up on those cars.
This is good. Sylvan broke something on the back straightaway, just came to a stop. I don't know if it was fuel pressure or what. Maybe Jim can help me with that. But they just flat stopped in the back straight in between 5 and 6. And, so the 00 visitflorida.com car wins, which is great. You know, it's our sponsor as well. And then the Porsche that's running around here at streetcar speed with a limping around motor finishes second. So I mean, another tough break for Sylvan, but, you know, Mazda comes through on top with the Visit Florida car, and, you know, I think that class goes away and that program changes for next year, definitely.
Well, you know, the word that we got on that is that the program is going to go to a customer-driven program. That means no Mazda involvement, but they're going to sell somebody the cars, and that they were seeking other programs. That's the word, seeking other programs. So I think Tom Long was actually in the car tonight and broke a fuel pump or something like that, and then Pompelli got rear-ended by a regular GT car, and they crushed the tailpipe on the back of the car, and that killed the power. They made no power with the muffler broke, and they limped around to second, and that was what happened on that. So, Bill?
Peter, you had great information last week. What was going on in the paddock? What have you been able to learn this week there at Kansas Speedway?
Well, I got to tell you, Bill, you know, that we still don't know anything as competitors. What I have been told, or the rumor is that the constructors, the DP constructors and the P2 constructors have got what you know, United Sports Cars thinking for next year. It hadn't trickled down to the teams yet, and the rumor is it's, you know, more aero for us, a little bit more horsepower. One thing I found out that was really amazing to me is that they're going to make the P2 cars run the Le Mans package, the low downforce Le Mans package, and even in that configuration, they make like 800 pounds more downforce than we do, you know, total downforce. So, and we have 100 horsepower more. The problem is I think they're going to give us a little bit more downforce and a little more horsepower, but our downforce is at a 1-to-1 ratio, and those P2 cars are 3.5 or 4-to-1 ratio on the L over D. So it's still a tough thing. They're going to put a little bit of weight in the P2 cars. I mean, they're still like 300 pounds less than a Daytona prototype, and I just don't think it's going to be enough. It's still up in the air, and like I said, what do we got, 2 months or 3 months until we're testing in Daytona? So everybody's scared. The P2 guys are even worried. I talked to guys Cosmo after last week at Road America, and he's worried. He thinks that, you know, because it's a Daytona prototype series, that the P2 cars are going to get hurt. I mean, I hate to say it, I've been crying, you know, Daytona prototype guys don't know what's going on, but I don't think the P2 guys do either. I mean, everybody's worried. So hopefully it gets worked out quickly.
Yeah, Peter, there's a big concern all the way around. And here, let me just give you some insight from a management standpoint. We had 10 GT cars and 14 Daytona prototypes for this show. That's the problem. So I know we're going to have a lot of growing pains, and everyone should be worried with these equipment purchases, but we can't have a 10-car GT show and a 14-car Daytona prototype show and think everything's okay. That's why we're having a Merge series. So at least that part's going to be positive. I just hope none of these team owners who have been stroked to make investments in certain cars, either on the LMS side or on the prototype side, Daytona prototype side, like you guys, don't lose the kitchen sink on this deal. Bill?
Peter Keene, Kansas Speedway. Thanks, partner. Good race. Spirited Daytona team. That's how much inside information you'll get. He's right there in the team talking to the drivers in their head. Coming up next, the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge. That was also at Kansas Speedway. We have the latest from Jim Daniels right after this.
Let us know what you think about what the Racing Insiders have to say. Tell us on Facebook and Twitter. Want to keep up with all the racing action at the track? Well, download the new GoRacingTV iPhone and Android app. And remember to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Welcome back to the Racing Insiders. I'm Bill Wood in Los Angeles. We're going to Jim Daniels in Memphis, Tennessee right now. Back to another report from the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge at Kansas Speedway. Jim, what happened? It was a close race down to the end.
Well, much like that GT and DP race, Bill, Peter, a lot of cars backwards. Anytime we go to a new track, test a new track, there's a lot of shenanigans. But some of the bright spots are the same things we see week in and week out. One is the kid Brian, who won that GT Academy, puts that Nissan on the front row again, checks out by 2 or 3 seconds right out the bat, making a great show, and breaks something in the rear end and falls back. Within the first couple of laps, Billy Johnson falls out, breaks a left front control arm on his car, and it seemed like no one really wanted to lead the race, but it quickly emerged toward the end, and I'm talking about the GS. The Porsches were very fast. Longy and Plum extremely fast. John Edwards winds up holding them off for the GS win, but in the interviews after the race, Matt Plum was saying, I could have gotten up there. I just didn't want to mess up my points, and you could see it. He had speed at will. Over on the ST side, it was a wreckathon. There was a lot of carnage going on, lots of spins, and people turned around in the track. But then it kind of got into a groove, and it was just some great racing. With 15 minutes to go, Pierre Klamnubing in that iMoto car has got it in hand. He's not checked out or anything, but he has the race in hand. And he gets tangled up. A couple drivers transported to local hospitals. Ken Wilden, Altberg, both of them later released CAT scans, X-rays, all that stuff, so they must have got their cages rattled pretty good. Pierre was caught up in that race, not injured, but that let his teammates who haven't won yet come on through and get the victory. One of the bright spots in the ST was Mark Pombo coming back after that Road America horrific crash last year, put the car on the pole for his first pole race with him and his brother. They did a good job, and it's glad to see him back there. Peter, one of the things I noticed during the race, and you have to deal with Bill Arbelin over on your side and see him in a GT, they break a suspension or something, and he says the car is so just undrivable. He pulls it behind the wall. Looks like it's driving. He pulls it behind the wall. But when he gets back out in the race and they get that car fixed, he's running with the leaders right in front of them, and he's not yielding at all. What's your experience with him on your side?
Well, that's not good sportsmanship at all. If you watched us, we were 15 or 16 laps down in the Daytona prototype, we rolled over for everybody. I mean, there was guys we could race, but if they got within 2 car lengths of us, we just rolled over and let them go. I mean, that's not good sportsmanship. I do got to tell you a funny GS story. Is I was just hanging out and I saw my good buddy from Rumbum, Joe Vardy. He's over lobbying Grand Am about how fast the Nissan was before the race, and he's kind of doing the Joe Vardy thing, which I love him. He's probably the best in the GS business. And then while we were there talking, I of course went over and got in the middle of it just because I had nothing to do. And then here comes Jim Lutz from Chevrolet, and he starts picking on Joe Vardy in front of the Grand Am guy about how big of an advantage the Porsche has over the Camaro. So we were all kind of had a laugh, and then here comes the race, and Vardy does what Vardy does best. He's in the points lead, and he just runs second to that Camaro, so there's no competition adjustment, and everybody goes away happy. Mr. Lutz gets his win, which is great for Chevrolet. I mean, I love Chevrolets. That's why we race in Daytona prototypes. But, Vardy's the ringleader when it comes to GS, I got to tell you.
I agree.
Still ahead is DTM and Super GT. We've got that coming right after this. This is the Racing Insiders.
This segment of the Racing Insiders was brought to you by GoRacingTV.com, for racers by racers.
Welcome back to the Racing Insiders, our international segment. DTM, Nürburgring in Germany. Started off with a big rainstorm, but that didn't rain on the parade of Robert Wickens. Mercedes driver got his maiden win in the DTM.
Yeah, amazing. Today I felt like I really earned it. I feel like the team really earned it, and definitely we're probably gonna have a beer tonight and have some fun.
The real news came at the back of the field with Mike Rockenfeller, Audi driver. He's the points leader. He finished 4th, but managed to expand his points lead because of some tire strategy. Let's listen to him.
I'm very happy, of course, to finish 4th today after being last in the first corner, or after the first corner, after the start. It's a great result. We did our maximum today, great strategy, and those races are really important for the championship, and that's why I'm more than happy today.
As I mentioned before, Robert Wickens got his first win, Mercedes driver, first time in the DTM. He's been able to step on the top step of the podium. The 7th round of the DTM, the Canadian scored his maiden victory. Robert Wickens from Canada scored his maiden victory. Second was Augusto Farfus of BMW, who started from the pole, finished second. Third was Christian Victoris. Another Mercedes rounded out the podium. But like we said, the real winner at the DTM Nürburgring was Mike Rockenfeller, who was able to expand his points lead to 35 points in the championship. He's getting close to what would be his first championship in the DTM series. All right, let's go to Japan now. Suzuka, the winner on the racetrack in the Super GT Series, the GT 500 class, was Naoki Yamamoto and Frederick Makowicki in a Honda. It's a strange car. You should take a look on the website. It's supposed to be the successor to the NSX, but when the rules changed in Super GT that said you had to have a front engine and rear wheel drive, the NSX was a mid-engine car. They built this front engine car with the engine close to the middle. It's kind of got mid-engine specs, mid-engine weight distribution, but it's a front engine car. They won. The Hondas have been very strong this year. The points leader in a Lexus finished third. That's Kazuki Nakajima and James Rossiter. They're the points leader in Super GT, the 500 category, but they were able to maintain their points lead even though they finished third at Suzuka. But the real story may have come before the race at Suzuka on Saturday when Toyota as a Lexus and Honda and Nissan, the GTR, announced their new cars for 2014 in Super GT. Front engine, rear wheel drive. These cars are close to what they're expecting to be the rules if there ever comes a Grand Dam supported DTM series that will be for DTM in Germany, Super GT, and the United States. These are the new cars. You should take a look on the website to get an idea of what these new cars would be. A common monocoque under the chassis and the 2-liter turbocharged engines, much like the cars DTM in Germany. They're expecting these to be the rules. They're hoping that these will be the rules here in the United States. All three of them can enter here in the United States and have common rules and truly global international sports car racing. That's our international segment, Super GT and DTM. Next, though, Are You Kidding Me? The Racing Insiders. A lot of racing going on. Lots going on in our minds. We've got a lot of comments on it right after this. The Racing Insiders continues next.
This segment was brought to you by the Sports Car Club of America.
Are you kidding me?
Welcome back to the Racing Insiders. Are You Kidding Me? This is one of my favorite segments in the show. Peter, what's on your mind this week?
Well, Bill, my Are You Kidding Me is kind of all over the place, and it's definitely about the DP race. First of all, my Are You Kidding Me is what a heck of a job Jordan Taylor did holding off the Ganassi car. I mean, they got a big advantage, and Jordan just did a great job. The second Are You Kidding Me is Grand Dam ever going to do anything about that BMW power with the 6-speed now? I mean, it's just ridiculous. Looking forward to 2014. I'm very happy for Jordan Taylor. He did an excellent job. I mean, I still can't believe. I don't even think Wayne Taylor, his dad, could believe the kid held him off for as long as he did. So, just a phenomenal drive tonight by Jordan.
Jim, what's on your mind?
Well, Bill, my Are You Kidding Me is extension from last week. Fox Sports 2, Speed 2, we can't catch the races. This Continental race is great action. We got one person with Grand Dam trying to keep up with the Twitters. We had to listen to MRN Radio, which they did a great call for the GT and Rolex race. Someone at Grand Dam and at this new sports car series, they need to make sure that we're getting a lap-by-lap, turn-by-turn account on social media of what's going on these events. Some pictures would be good. Have 4 or 5 people tweeting at one time from different corners. How much money could it cost to have that that going on so it's accessible to the fans? We're having to scan teams' Twitters, scan their one Twitter. Guy is doing a great job as best he can for one person, but there needs to be more access to the fans than waiting 2 weeks for a tape delay show with as good as this action is. Bill?
My Are You Kidding Me came from Nürburgring, where the DTM was running this weekend. It was the craziest thing. Red Bull, which sponsors Matthias Ekstrom in the DTM Audi team, and Sebastian Ogier, the points leader in the World Rally Championship, the two of them swapped cars. Ekstrom got into Ogier's Volkswagen, and the Volkswagen driver got into the Audi in DTM. It's the craziest thing you've ever seen. Both of them had to be sponsored by the other guy, releases coming from the wrong teams. It was wild. Are you kidding me? Red Bull has kind of taken over all of motorsport. They're having their guys get into whatever cars they want to. Nobody cares. But it's a lot of fun. That's the way racing, it's the way motor racing used to be. But it's craziness now, right now. That's Are You Kidding Me? Next, the racing calendar. What's coming up this weekend and how we're going to enjoy it with you. Next, the Racing Insiders continues right after this. On the calendar this week, the Pirelli World Challenge is in Sonoma. V8 Supercars are in Winton, the Winton 360. Rally America is at the Ojibwe Forest Rally, and the World Rally Championship is Rally Germany. That's the world calendar for this week. Peter, what's going on in your weekend?
Well, Bill, just got to get home and get my runoffs motor in my car and get ready to go. I mean, it's just runoffs preps for the next week. So just get home, get where it's warm, and get my program together.
Thanks, Peter. Jim, what's going on in your weekend? Are you getting ready for the runoffs too?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as Peter, Bill. I'm going to be doing a bunch of iRacing at Road America, prepping the car, double checking it, triple checking it on the scales. I think I got a couple of students going to be jumping in on iRacing private server with me. We're going to be doing some training and just getting ready. It's crunch time for us club racers, right, Peter?
It is, definitely.
I'm going to be following Rally Germany. That's a great event. A lot of high-speed action, very exacting roads. If you make a mistake, you're done. It's a wild event. It's going to be following that, Rally Germany, the World Rally Championship. That's the Racing Insiders for this week. We have another great show coming for you next week. Want you to take care of each other, respect each other. I'm Bill Wood in Los Angeles for Peter Keene, who is in Kansas Speedway this weekend, and Jim Daniels, who is in Memphis. Look forward to seeing you next week, the Racing Insiders. Peace.